Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, then you know we're tuned in to another episode of Marking Out Amongst Friends, the podcast. You know me, it's your boy Jay Riddy in the building. All right. And you know if I'm in here, I ain't never in here alone. All right. You know if I'm in here beside me, I got the first lady of podcasts. All right. The master of swerves and curves. All right. The resident expert in NXTology in this piece. You know what I'm saying? Lady Great One in the building. Say hi to the people.
Hey, what's going on? Um, I don't know about the resident of NXTology, but I do what I can.
Take your compliments now. Um, so tonight's show, episode 28, season 2. It's still hard to believe that we're 2 seasons deep into this game already. With this being one of our final episodes, as you know, we always close the season out doing SummerSlam or the show after SummerSlam is our go home show. Um, it's a lot to reflect on this year. So be on the lookout. We'll be giving some of our favorite moments throughout the week and over the next couple of weeks going over it. But tonight we have we're going to discuss the NXT Breakout Tournament finale, which is set to jump right into NXT Takeover Toronto. Takeover Toronto and SummerSlam are now only 10 days out. SummerSlam seemed like a long time, and now it's right around the corner. So we'll be discussing the road to SummerSlam and Takeover Toronto so far. Also, we have a topic for you guys tonight about factions. Don't call it a comeback. Well, actually, that's kind of what it is. Factions are making a comeback right now with the return of the OC and with the New Day. Both factions holding all the gold right now. We just have one question: who's next? All right, but before we get into any of that, we're not gonna get into none of that until we do what? It's time to do what? Hit our damn music.
Damn music.
Yeah, marking out.
He was marking out, man.
450 off the top with the top.
Splash.
Leader of the new school, ain't no way to stop us.
Stop.
Mark it out, screaming loud, tell me who you with. Competition is none, cause we lunatics.
Yeah.
Walk with me down these roads if you're all in. I love the feeling, baby, time to go to work again. Come together like a fist and we do it proud. Light it up and burn it down, cause we marking out.
He was marking out, man.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, so tonight we got a whole lot of things to go over. Before we jump into anything else, one thing that I didn't mention before we went into our theme music there, just because I wanted to give some time for us to reflect on it. Today, the wrestling world lost a true legend. Harley Race, King Harley Race, as many people know, um, beast throughout the time frame of the Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair era. You would say he has just as big of a part, if not a bigger part, than any of these two guys. He pretty much paved the way for a lot of the heels that you see right now in the wrestling industry. Um, Harley Race passed away today, and we wanted to stop and give a moment of silence to Harley Race and to his family. Prayers go out to you guys from the Marking Out Amongst Friends family. All right, all right. Once again, rest in peace to Harley Race. And this is kind of eerie, Lady Great One, because you were just telling me before the show, this is what, a day or so after the 4-year anniversary of Roddy Piper's death, right?
That is correct. Piper just passed away 4 years ago, yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like our legends, they're going too soon. But then again, I mean, I guess the good Lord needs another wrestling army up there because he needs some entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
But rest in peace. It's been too many, too close together. Rest in peace, y'all.
Facts, facts. Now Harley Race was only 76 years old. Of course, Piper was very young as well. Now Harley Race was a little bit before our time. When it comes to our, we're part of the golden age, the '90s going into the 2000s, the golden era, the Hulk Hogan era, the Attitude era. That was our childhood growing up. But like I was saying earlier, Harley Race kind of paved the way for a lot of the heels that we see currently. A lot of the people who we respect as some of the greatest wrestlers of all time had classic feuds with Harley Race. Um, and you can also see like somebody like Cody Rhodes, even though he has a very innovative offense, Cody Rhodes still inhabits a little of that old school feel. And you see him use that Harley Race knee quite often as well. Um, in my opinion, I won't say that this death is like one of the ones that shocked me the most. I think that he was in dire health towards the end uh, here, but nonetheless, it still kind of hurts the same. Because even without him being part of our generation, you still recognize how much of a legend that is. Did you ever get a chance to see any of Harley Race's matches?
No, I just know that I've seen like little references to the matches, and I've heard many people talking about the legendary Harley Race. But other than that, I can't say that I have, and I'm not gonna lie and say that I did. But
Mm.
I do know he was a big, huge, huge deal to the wrestling community. So I will definitely give props.
Big facts, big facts. So another thing we were kind of talking about, discussing before the show. I haven't got the chance to catch much of this, but I know we covered this a few weeks ago. But the NXT Breakout Stars tournament has finally reached its finals. So go ahead and give us a little bit on the NXT Breakout tournament and what we have to look forward to.
Well, just in case you've been underneath the rock or you haven't been paying any attention to NXT, um, over the last month and some change now, I want to say over the last at least 6 weeks or so, the NXT has had their Breakout Stars tournament. And in this tournament, it's included Angel Garza, Joaquin Wild, Jordan Miles, and you have to forgive me because I'm trying to do this off of memory. I don't have everybody written down because I wasn't that prepared to say everybody. Oh,
So
Jordan Miles was, huh?
I was gonna say a lot of faces that we knew before WWE with name changes.
Exactly. It was Jordan Miles versus Boa, and you also had Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Cameron Grimes, and Dexter Loomis versus Bronson Reed. And those are the opening matches. Angel Garza defeated um I just said his name. I just said Joaquin Wild to move on, and he fought the winner of Jordan Miles and Boa, in which Boa moved on. And now, in our final spot for that half of the brackets, Jordan Miles defeated Angel Garza last week. This week, on the other side of things, you had Bronson Reed going over Dexter Loomis, and you also had Cameron Grimes going over Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And for Bronson Reed to be the resident big man in the tournament, he did fall short against North Carolina's own Cameron Grimes, Burlington, North Carolina's own Trevor Lee. If you're from here, you know him if
Mm-hmm.
you're watching.
Absolutely, I
So
remember. I
go ahead, go
remember
ahead.
him. I was just gonna say I remember him. I think when we first started covering this tournament, I think this was the one that, very biasly, that all of us were for, in this tournament. And I think it might have been, was it you who was picking Jordan Miles for this
I
one? I believe.
I picked Swerve initially to go over, but only because I'm Swerve's and Curse.
Oh yes.
I had to go with the Swerve there. But I had a feeling that it would come down to Jordan Miles. I did not know that Cameron Grimes would make it this far to the finale. I'm very ecstatic because we're going to have one hell of a breakout tournament. And
Hmm.
the winner, just in case you didn't know, gets a future title opportunity.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it's gonna be a hell of a match. I mean, both of these guys, are very sound wrestlers, but both of them can take to the air very quickly too. Of course, like you mentioned, Trevor Lee is from here from North Carolina, and it's very hard not to be biased because if you guys are from where we're from, or you guys know where Burleson, North Carolina is, or Greensboro, or McLeansville, or the surrounding areas, it's really not a lot for us to brag about in our specific area of North Carolina, wrestling wise, so to speak. I mean, we don't really have much. Everybody knows Ric Flair, everybody knows Cedric Alexander is from Charlotte. Everybody knows the Hardys, but it's just like to have somebody from Trevor Lee, from Burlington to make it to the big time is just like wow. Um, and it's not even just the fact that you know, he's in WWE. It's just the fact that he's been making waves everywhere he goes. He's not just now getting on television. I mean, this is a former Impact X Division champion as well. So just to see somebody that I've personally seen live, at an independent show before any of this was really happening is just kind of crazy to look at in retrospect. Um, of course, we talked about on the show like other people that we've seen in the independence scene as well, such as my guy from the Revival. I always forget his name. Yeah, Scott Dawson, known as Casey McKnight, actually on the independent scene out here. But Scott Dawson, another one that we saw through the independents here. Um, with it being down to these final two, you already know who I'm going to pick. So I don't even feel like it has to be said. We already see who I've spent the most time talking about um, in this finals match. Who do you think is going to take this one home and get an NXT Championship opportunity?
well, that question will be answered whether Johnny Gargano defeats Adam Cole.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm banking on. Because if Adam Cole retains, then Jordan Miles is going to win. And if Johnny Gargano wins, I think that Cameron Grimes will also win. But that's just a bold prediction from me.
So you think it's a matchup situation. So if Gargano wins, we get Johnny Wrestling versus Cameron Grimes.
Yes.
And if Adam Cole wins, we see Adam Cole versus ACH. I mean, Jordan Miles.
If you didn't know, that is ACH. It's kind of hard to keep up with the name changes.
I Some of these guys could have used for a name change. I'm gonna be honest, but just because for people who've been watching wrestling for a little while and know a lot of these names, it's hard to kind of switch up that quickly, especially like Cameron Grimes. He's always gonna be Trevor Lee to me. He's not gonna be Cameron Grimes. But then again, for somebody like Bronson Reed, I didn't know Jonah Rock, so Bronson Reed is gonna be Bronson Reed in WWE.
One thing, though, out of all the guys in this tournament, the one I've got my eye on and I could see doing some great promos and stuff with, the person I see doing that the most is Dexter Lumis.
Mm-hmm.
The name alone is kind of creepy, kind of stalker-ish. I could just see him just doing big things as a in a very great heel. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how well he can talk, but he just has this look about him. He's a mix of stunning Steve Austin and Randy Orton. Y'all said that best a few weeks ago, but Yeah, I see big things for him.
Yeah,
All because
I think he definitely has the most upside that I see out of the lineup um, that has not that did not advance in the tournament, so to speak. Of course, the major upside is going to go to whoever wins the tournament because they get their own championship opportunity. But it's just from the ones who didn't win out of the Performance Center, Loomis is definitely the one who has the best upside for the WWE style of wrestling on the main roster. Um, of course, DJZ, he's got a character to him. He can wrestle as well. It's gonna be hard to see DJZ make it anywhere outside of 205 Live. I think he goes straight to 205 Live. He and Swerve Scott. I'm sorry,
yes.
Joaquin Wild. His name is
I
DJZ.
mean, want to go back even further than that, you got to say Zima Ion. So
Yeah, I mean,
Zima Ion, not DJZ, but then again, I can deal with the Joaquin Wild, the JW. I like it,
yeah,
but maybe they'll probably just end up calling him Joaquin because that name is cool as hell, and I just love the name Joaquin.
the spelling of Joaquin always throws me off. Like it is, I don't know what it is. It's just when you see it spelled out, it doesn't look like it's supposed to say Joaquin. Um, so with that being said, we mentioned that the finalists are now announced to make it to have their match on NXT Takeover Toronto. So let's move on to the Takeover Toronto uh, build so far. We're about 10 days out from the pay per view, the big pay per view weekend with Takeover and SummerSlam. So what do we have so far for Takeover? Let's see. We have 5 matches announced already, not including that match. So Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, Shayna
Yes,
Baszler, Mia Yim for the NXT Women's Championship. Um,
this is the first time that they're having two women's matches on the card,
that's
so
shocking.
that's a
This is
big
the
step.
first time they've never had 2 different women's matches on Takeover.
Nope, not two announced women's matches. No.
Hmm. Okay, that's kind of dope. Let's see. Triple threat for the Nat Velveteen versus the returning Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong. Um, you also got the NXT Championships on the line. The Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano, and another 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT title. So they put on a classic in the 2 out of 3 falls a few months ago at Takeover. So running that one back, we know this is going to be just as great, if not better. What match are you looking forward to so far on this card? And do you think that there's any matches that are going to be added other than the one that we already know, as far as the breakout tournament?
Possibly Matt Riddle and Killian Dane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that. But let me focus for a minute on the 2 out of 3 falls NXT Championship match.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam Cole got to pick his stipulation. He just chose a straight up one-on-one match. Then Johnny Gargano also got to pick a stipulation, and he picked a street fight. If it goes to a third fall, then William Regal gets to pick the final stipulation for the match.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's interesting as hell. It's never been done before. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like that aspect of, each person getting to choose what type of fall it is. So if it goes to 3 falls, William Regal's going to pick. If William Regal picks a third fall, I'm betting 95% that it's going to be a submission match. I'm about 90% sure it's going to be a submission only match. Um,
I might be hardcore.
I can
You
see
got a
that
street
happening. He
fight.
was he was one of the last ECW champions. I believe he was the second to last. Ezekiel Jackson was the last one, I believe.
Yeah, Ezekiel Jackson was. But yeah, I could totally see a hardcore match being the last match
But
or
then
the last.
again,
Rather.
I might be leaning more towards the hardcore with you because now that I think about it, I want to say, which we'll discuss later on, I think Natalia hinted at a submission only match for her match against
Becky
the
Lynch.
man. So if they do that, I don't think that they'll run two submission matches in one weekend. So if it does go to a third fall, it's gonna go to a third fall. They're not gonna have this match and it's not gonna go to a third fall. So I'm gonna stop saying if at this moment because I doubt that Johnny Gargano is gonna sweep Adam Cole or Adam Cole is gonna sweep Johnny Gargano. But right off the rip, just looking at the card, I think that's the match that you're probably looking forward to. I know that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
No, that is not the match that I'm most looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the most Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler.
You think they're gonna take it off? This is gonna be the time that they take the strap off of me, off of Baszler.
I've been saying it for a while, but I think yes, this is the person because she straight up went street. That's the best way, for lack of a better word. She went street because for months and months and months, Jessamine and Marina have always been like coming up and getting people from behind. Mia flipped the script. She's attacked Jessamine Duke. She attacked Marina Shafir. And now it's just right now down to one on one. So she's using some very, very heelish revenge tactics. And if Marina and Jessamine do, I feel, interfere, I think a lot more of the ladies in the locker room, because they've had enough of Shayna's shit, for lack of a better word so far,
Mm-hmm.
then definitely I see Mia getting the strap. They've been focusing too much, and not only that, but they haven't been doing many vignettes on any other women like they have been doing with Mia Yim. So I think that she's the next person to step up and ascend to that spot.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my guns and say the match that I'm looking forward to most is gonna be the 2 out of 3 falls match. Um, and this is
Oh, of
not
course,
to
that's going to be incredible.
yeah, it's not to shit on either one of the other either of the other matches on the card. I mean, I'm excited to see Pete Dunne return, the Bruiserweight return to NXT television, regular NXT television. Um, and of course, that's going to be an amazing match because you got, the Messiah, the Backbreaker, and you got the Velveteen Dream in this one. So that's going to be an amazing match. Um, I'm a little iffy with the Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae feud. I'm going to be honest. Um, and it's nothing to do with Io Shirai. I still think she's the best, wrestler in the world, or one of the best wrestlers in the world, bar none, you know, no limitation of gender, so to speak, in that instance. Um, it's just that I've always been kind of iffy about Candice LeRae. Um, ah, go
But
ahead.
that's business wrestling.
Yeah,
This is her first takeover match.
yeah. I mean, maybe there's a reason why she hasn't had a takeover match in a while. Since she's been there, because she's been there for a while. Uh, yeah, there's nothing that I've been really impressed by from Candice LeRae. Um, and pretty much like what I've really known her most for in WWE is being Johnny Gargano's wife. Um, a lot of people will probably look at that and say, well, you probably should have watched her before WWE. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but when you get to WWE, what you're supposed to do is not live off of, whatever you did prior to WWE. You're supposed to do something to make people talk while you're there. That's the point of signing. Well, that and to get paid too, but still, do something to impress me while you're there. Like, she hasn't done anything to impress me. I don't see anything great in her like I saw in Bianca Belair or, something great in her like I saw in Kairi Sane or even Shayna Baszler, so to speak. Like it's nothing about Candice LeRae that just makes me say can't wait to see her wrestle.
But then again, she hasn't really had the opportunities to show off what she can do in comparison to the other women.
Mm.
Every one of those women have had multiple matches, multiple opportunities on the main stage to be able to show off what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that you're cutting Candice LeRae off at the kneecaps just because she hasn't been involved in that many stories and feuds outside of her and Johnny and Tommaso, where she wasn't even really wrestling. She was just there for her husband.
Mm. So, what do you think there is to like about Candice LeRae then? Just in case I feel like I might be going a little too hard, I guess. What is there about Candice LeRae that's special that you have, or what's her potential?
I see a lot of potential from her. Is she as athletic as Bianca? No. Is she very in ring focused and driven? Yes. She shows a lot of guts and determination and a lot of heart. I think she could be the biggest baby face without being Bailey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She's not the hugger like all the little girls love her. No, like this is a woman that an actual woman can get behind. Just because like she fights for her beliefs and she fights for her family tooth and nail. I I just see a lot more in Candace than you do. And I'm still waiting for her to show me more too. So the verdict is still out on that. But I'm just saying, I think that she has a lot going for her. And I think it's a step in the right direction. And I think that this match between her and EO will be the match that you are going to take a step back and be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Hopefully so. I won't hold my breath. I'm not gonna hold it against her. I'm not gonna say that she's not talented or anything. Just I personally haven't seen anything impressive, and I feel like a lot of people have been kind of boosting her because of who
Well,
she's
go back
married
to the
to.
first May Classic.
Yeah, she
She
got.
was very impressive in the first May Young Classic.
She got 2 wins. In the tournament. But I mean, what did she do memorably in the tournament? It was just like, wow, I can't wait to see more of her.
Like I said, it's just that the veteran presence there, like for her to be so young and her being a veteran, once again, I thought she was really good in the tournament. I do not like her as a blonde. I like her better the way her hair is now because she looked just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she was very hard hitting. She was high flying, but technical. I mean, I think that she's a good wrestling package. And then again, I mean, she is married to Mr. Wrestling, so I think he had to be showing her some of the moves beyond the ropes, if you know what I mean. Anyway, moving right along.
Okay. All right. So SummerSlam also around the corner since we spent a little time on Takeover. We're talking about SummerSlam as well, coming up Sunday, August 11th. Um, the picture is looking to go into the SummerSlam picture is going into its last leg. It'll probably be finalized by this coming week's SmackDown. We've seen a lot of the storylines so far, specifically the one with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar F5 Seth Rollins on everything he could find Monday night, leading into their match. That was a brutal ass whooping. Let me just take some time. Let's talk about that for a second. I don't think I've seen an ass whooping like that in quite some time. Like
The
Seth,
last time somebody get their ass whooped like that was when Braun Strowman said, "I'm not finished with you," to Roman Reigns, and he whooped his ass all up and down the arena, the same way that Brock whooped Seth's ass all up and down the arena.
that was just, that was it was brutal. Like you got F5 in the ring, on the floor,
Yep,
on the chair twice,
yep.
uh,
Don't forget
on the stretcher.
the Germans. Yeah,
On what?
Oh, I said, don't forget the massive Germans.
Oh yeah, forgot he took to Suplex City in between all of these F5s as
Yep.
well. Like, I'm surprised that they didn't use that as an opportunity to take Seth Rollins out of the match. Which
It might.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And I feel like what could happen is that I ain't even gonna say that one yet.
Go ahead.
I feel like
Go ahead.
what could
Yeah.
happen is with this whole storyline that they're building with Roman, who was about to announce who his opponent was. Everybody was probably thinking it was going to be Samoa Joe, but Roman Reigns might end up taking Seth Rollins' spot if Seth Rollins is too injured, quote unquote, to compete. And I think the first person I saw say this was in the Game Runners when Wayne had said it. And I think he had said it to plug somebody else into that match other than Seth Rollins. But it was that premise that made me think like, with both of those storylines being kind of up in the air, I wouldn't be surprised if Roman got plugged into that match.
But we also have a little bit of mystery after SmackDown on Tuesday night, who tried to take out Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
So could it possibly be option B? Or should I say B for Braun Strowman?
It could be. It could be. Maybe Braun might have got word that Roman was going to get the spot if Seth Rollins couldn't continue. And maybe Braun thought he could take him out.
Excuse me, I had to sit up for a second. And if you heard a lot of creaking, that's a very, very old bed. Oh, for my very bad back. But anyway, yeah, but Braun hasn't been on a card in a legitimate match besides the one at Extreme Rules.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't exactly know what's going on with Braun. I mean, the last time when we saw him last on Raw, he was just standing backstage talking to Maria Kanellis after she won and became the first ever pregnant champ with the 24/7 title by threatening to kick her husband in the vagina and taking his title.
A lot of people are mad at that. I'm not mad at Maria being the 24/7 champ. Listen, like, R-Truth can't be the champ forever. You know, everybody already, squatted a deuce on this title when Mick Foley debuted it, and R-Truth made this title great. Like, he made it worth something. Then the feud with Drake Maverick and his wife made it even more entertaining. Now you're adding a different dimension to it by adding the whole submissive, dominant relationship with Mike and Maria Kanellis into there. You're putting story around the title. Why be mad at it?
Because people will take anything that anybody's trying to do and then they'll shit all over it. And then by the time it's all said and done, you're like, wow, well, actually, going back in hindsight, I already like, no. Don't act like you liked it. You're bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
You're bandwagon.
If nothing else, what it does is it gets all of these guys on TV. Truth was doing the dance party thing before this. Like, he was barely on TV, had a very short run with the United States title that was getting put on everybody, which was very entertaining, but very short. Truth is hardly on TV. Nobody watches 205 Live on a regular basis. Not a lot of people anyway. So you don't see a whole lot of Drake Maverick. Okay? The more Drake Maverick is on TV, and we know Drake Maverick is the general manager of 205 Live, the more that brings viewership to 205 Live, where then you can see the quality of wrestling that they show on a regular basis. Then Mike and Maria Kanellis, never on TV. Mike has been going through his whole rehab thing. He's gotten his body in shape. He's in the best shape of his life. It's hard to figure out a place to put him with all of the talent that you already have on the main roster right now. So while you're not doing anything with him, you might as well give something to have somebody have some interest in him and Maria on television. While it's kind of cringy to see him get berated as much as he is, he's getting spotlight. Maria's getting spotlight.
Not to mention, you you missed an important step in that.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Kanellis is also on 205 Live. And he, if you have not been paying any attention to 205 Live, he and Drake Maverick had already been involved in a feud to begin with. They've been feuding back and forth because Mike Kanellis was supposed to be the biggest acquisition at that time when he came to the 205 Live roster. And
Mm-hmm.
then he had been put in a losing streak. And for months and months of losing. And then that's when Maria decided to become the dominant force. There's a whole big backstory here that if you didn't watch 205 Live, you didn't see any of this building. And just this past week on 205 Live, after Maria Kanellis won the 24/7 title off of her husband, um, we had an unsanctioned match between Drake Maverick and Mike Kanellis. For if Mike Kanellis won, then he would actually be able to get a cruiserweight championship match. Unfortunately for Mike Kanellis, he did not win. So once again, Maria is left to hold the 24/7 champion, to be the parent who can hold a title, because obviously her sorry husband can't do it. He's not a man.
So much emasculation going on in that whole feud or in that whole story.
Circle. Which brings us full circle right back to Drake Maverick, who has a loving wife, but he cannot consummate his marriage because he's too focused on that 24/7 title. In which even his lovely wife Renee was wearing green and gold, the same colors of the 24/7 title. He was not paying attention to that beautiful woman over there.
Yeah, that's whew, that's definitely somebody he needs to be paying attention to. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I ain't gonna make too many comments because I'm a happily married man. But yeah,
But story, once again, everybody is talking about how predictable the stories have been getting. You got all these new stories coming up, and what is everybody doing? They're knocking before they're seeing anything happen. And that's us as wrestling fans, we become jaded. Y'all don't like surprise, but yet you want surprise. You don't
mm,
want to see where things are playing out. Now you got stuff like, well, where they're going to go with this, but you are too busy trying to downgrade it before you even see what happens. Stop being so jaded wrestling fans and get back to the mystery, get back to the fun that made us wrestling fans in the first place.
mm.
I'm sorry, I went to a complete talk about a Thursday rant. All right. Well, long story short, I believe we were talking about Braun Strowman possibly taking over for Seth Rollins if he is unable to compete. There was a lot of going on there.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on with that. So let me go down before we spend some time because there's a lot of things that I want to talk about as far as the SummerSlam lineup so far. Right now, so far we have 9 matches that are determined. We got some more to go. Of course, we got Ricochet, AJ Styles going for the United States Championship again. Miz and Dolph Ziggler have a one-on-one match. Trish and Charlotte, the return of Trish Stratus, having her return match versus the Queen. You got Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens in a singles match. Owens loses. He has to quit WWE. Kofi Kingston coming back full circle in his feud now with Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. This feud is a decade in the making here. Bayley versus Ember Moon for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch versus Natalya. And then you have Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. So just like we did with NXT Takeover, which of these matches are you looking forward to first or most so far?
Whew. don't even know where to begin. I do not even know where on this card to begin because we've got so much going on and there's so many potential matches and stuff that could still be announced. Uh, and you also neglected to mention the Fiend versus Finn Balor, which has also been announced.
Okay.
So
Eh,
that's one of the ones I'm looking forward to, just because I can't wait to see Bray Wyatt in action again. That's all.
okay. So I mean that match is announced, but I don't know if that's gonna be the one that I'm looking forward to most, just because
No,
I
I'm
know.
saying I'm looking forward to. I love the Fiend. I want to see that mask again. I just want to see Bray. I want to see more Bray. That's all. That's the only reason why I'm looking forward to it so much. I just want to see more Bray.
Yeah, I mean I do want to see more of Bray. Um, I think for me personally, the match that I want to see the most at SummerSlam is probably Kofi versus Randy. I think this is finally Kofi's first major title defense since having the WWE Championship. We know he's defended the title a couple of times. He's coming off a huge win against AJ Styles, which was I would have never thought in a million years that Kofi Kingston would beat AJ Styles cleanly in a one-on-one match. If you'd have told me that 6 months ago, I'd have laughed in your face. And here we
Yeah.
are at SummerSlam, and Kofi is not only the WWE champion, he just defeated AJ Styles cleanly on a regular event. It wasn't even a pay-per-view match. He beat AJ Styles on a SmackDown match. Like that's just wow, what a time to be alive, man. But just the feud from back in the day, the destroying of Randy Orton's race car, the first major singles push that Kofi got on the main roster. Um, and we know how it ended after everybody had gotten behind Kofi on that feud. You know, Randy Orton RKO'd Kofi's push right out of here and called him stupid on the way out. And it was, you know, Kofi has watched those videos just like his fans have watched his videos. I think Kofi is going to have something to prove this weekend. Or that weekend, not this coming weekend. But I think he's going to have something to prove in that match. And I think that's what makes me say that that's the match that I'm looking forward to most.
I can completely agree with 100% of everything that you're saying there, just because of the simple fact that this match is a full circle match. This match has a lot of history. It has a lot of old feelings. There are. This match is a decade in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, literally a decade in the making. Um, he's acknowledged that he was responsible in stopping Kofi's push. Orton is the quote unquote legend killer. At the time, he was the legend killer. So he was just killing pushes as well, obviously. And everybody talked about Cena and his golden shovel. But look at how many that Randy Orton also did too.
Mm-hmm.
So this this match has just these feelings, this deep resentment between them for many years, and I do agree with you. This is a match I'm most looking forward to. I'm just waiting to see Bray Wyatt return. That's all. But that was what I was the most looking forward to. I just wanted to see Bray Wyatt return. But yeah, this is probably the most anticipated just because it's so deeply rooted and it's got so much of a story. And I just can't wait to see if Kofi can really and truly overcome the legend killer, the Viper, Randy Orton, and put him behind him.
Um, Now, while we're talking about the matches that we're most looking forward to, the one that I'm least looking forward to that I see in the card right now, I'm probably gonna piss a couple of people off with this, and I don't know if I'm gonna piss everybody off. I'm gonna piss a couple of people off. That's just what I do. I like to piss people off. But I'm actually not looking forward to Charlotte versus Trish Stratus.
I'm looking forward to Charlotte versus Trish for a little bit, only because of I'm unsure of what they are trying to build here. And not
Mm-hmm.
only that, but Charlotte hasn't been on a pay per view in a few months either.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and we know how great Charlotte is in the ring. We know how huge of a fan favorite that Trish Stratus was back in the day and in her prime, and how much people still love her. A lot of people want to see her back in the ring. However, you know, Trish Stratus wasn't the best wrestler in the world back when she was in her prime. She was good, and she improved tremendously from where she started when she first got to WWE. But she wasn't the best wrestler back then, and for her to be have been gone out of the ring as long as she has been, she's focused a lot of time on her family, being a wife and a mother. Um, to have a month or so out to train for one match, I don't know. Like we've seen a lot of people who were really good back in the day come back for one more match years later and be a shell of themselves. And I personally am scared to see like a shell of Trish Stratus. Um,
but think about it, she did fight at Evolution.
it's all right.
I mean, so she's obviously been working, and obviously I'm sure that she's been training and everything up in Canada, and like they had to get somebody big. But I also think it might also be a ruse. Did you ever think of that?
For what? I mean, I don't expound on that one for a minute. What is this going to be a ruse for?
I've been saying it for a while, and she's been gone for months. And Sasha's coming back at SummerSlam in Toronto.
Ah, I would love it if it happened. That would make that match much more interesting. But
Also, Alexa Bliss, who could make that match interesting too, because Alexa Bliss didn't get her match against Trish Stratus like she wanted at Evolution. That's the reason why I brought up Evolution.
Alexa can stay off of this pay per view if she wants to. She deserves a little time off. She can take all the time she needs away from SummerSlam. But um, for me personally, it's just like you said. I mean, at its max potential, it's zero build, and we know that Charlotte's going to carry most of the match. I'm not even going to say that Trish is going to be bad. Let me take back a little bit. Let me pump my brakes a little bit. I'm not predicting that she's going to be bad. It's just a high possibility that she could be. But Charlotte is going to make her look good throughout this match. So I don't think the match itself is going to be bad. It's just it's kind of a
This is the one that you're least looking forward to. It's only there for nostalgic purposes.
yeah. And I mean, I'll tell you before anybody else, nothing beats nostalgia. But in this situation, I could care less for nostalgia. I mean, I know I'm not the only one out there. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are looking forward to it. There's some people who would not like The Rock to return. I would love to see The Rock come back for one night. A lot of people would be against it because a lot of people say he's a spotlight hog. Um, but it's just I sometimes you're on one side of the fence, sometimes you're on the other, and I think this is one of the few times when nostalgia comes around that Reddy's on the youth side of the fence here.
Well, the match that I'm actually least looking forward to, speaking of nostalgia, is one Dolph Ziggler versus Miz. Now, Dolph Ziggler has been name dropping Goldberg an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that might actually be Goldberg returning and trying to clear his name from that debacle where he knocked himself out against The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia.
He's
He might
still
be trying to prove something
he's still gonna
there.
be garbage.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I said that this is the match that I'm least looking forward to. If it ends up being anything involving Goldberg, I'm not really looking forward to it. I know he wants to clear his name, but since Dolph has been dropping his name an awful lot, and I just read an article talking about the Miz might be a red herring here. Please don't let it be, because the Miz has not been in any pay per view since he lost to Shane at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I
And
think
Miz is better than that. Miz deserves better than that. That to be replaced by Goldberg of all people.
I think both. Yeah, but everybody involved deserves more than that. The only reason, and this is a sliver of a reason that I'm pulling out of my ass right now, but the only reason that I halfway am would allow that is because Dolph Ziggler doesn't get any major feuds at all. So to have a feud where he can go maybe 5 minutes or so with Goldberg and take a loss is a major match for Dolph Ziggler. For Dolph Ziggler. Not for somebody that, you're expecting to be a main eventer, but for somebody like Dolph, who's been used as like, a filler. This is kind of a major marquee match for him, so to speak. Um,
He had his major marquee match against Kofi, where he
don't
took
make
an L.
don't make me say it. I love Kofi. I really do. Kofi and Goldberg are two different draws, so to
I
speak.
know.
you
I
know,
know.
I, I
I know.
I love Kofi to death. I really, it hurts me to say anything negative about Kofi Kingston, but since we're on the subject of Kofi Kingston and going back to another reason why this match with Orton is one of the ones that I've been looking forward to. Kofi Kingston had all that hype in the world coming into WrestleMania and winning the title, and he won it, and we were all happy. The first African-born champion, the first champion that people like us could look up to, and then it's just been kind of snoozeville, since he's won the title. He hasn't done anything to elevate his character as a single star. He doesn't have to get edge. I mean, he can still be a face, but he hasn't done anything interesting since winning the title. Um, and for Dolph Ziggler to be like one of your main people that you feuded with on your title run, it really didn't help build on a lackluster, run itself. So that's another reason why I'm hoping that this whole Randy Orton feud is going to kind of turn that run around. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler, this is probably as major of a match as he's probably going to get until his contract runs out with WWE. So that's the only reason why I can allow that. Other than that, yes, Goldberg is pure garbage. Please don't book him again after this. Unless it's just to make like an appearance where he'll say a few words. Haha, who's next? But I think we're all done. I'm done with Goldberg. You done with Goldberg? I feel like I'm done with Goldberg.
I was done with Goldberg after he beat Brock Lesnar in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were done with Goldberg after he destroyed Kevin Owens in mere seconds as well. Um, but I understood for nostalgic purposes. Um, yeah, understood. But now it's kind of like I'm over it. It was a major deal with him coming out on 2K a few years ago and then having the big return match with Brock. And then, even I can understand in Saudi Arabia why it would be a huge draw for him and The Undertaker. But now it's just like, all right, Goldberg, okay. Like, we get it. You still want to be known in the wrestling world, but like you got to be done in the ring. Like it's probably best for everybody involved if you just stop wrestling. Honestly, whew.
Especially you and your health.
It's best for you, your health, the person that you're wrestling's health, um, the fans' mental health for having to watch it. Um, yeah,
You said our mental health for having to watch
our mental health
it.
is being spared every time we don't have to see Goldberg wrestle on television. It's just it's bad. It's bad. This is coming from a guy like I was a Goldberg fan. I will not be ashamed to admit, in his prime in WCW, I was a huge effing Goldberg fan. When when they first put him on the game and put him on WCW versus NWO Revenge, that was like one of the people I played with all the time. I just wanted to spear people. I just wanted to continuously spear people. Little did I know he was going to adopt that same mentality in his old age and keep doing that. But yeah, now it's just like, all right, you're 1,000 years old. You can't move anymore. You can't lift anybody up anymore. You're half the size that you were before, which, you're still pretty big, but you were big as hell before. So I mean, it's, it's worthless. He's worthless in the ring. He's not worth watching anymore. And I hate to berate people's in ring work because wrestling is a hard job, and a lot of people, people put their bodies on the line every day, and they do a lot of stuff that I know damn well that my fat ass couldn't do in there. But Goldberg, please stop wrestling, please.
Yeah, I think it is time.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on. Just like that subject is dead, Goldberg is over. So let's go ahead and switch to the next subject because that's officially over.
So, you brought up an interesting point earlier tonight as far as the return of factions. Right now, we see the New Day on top right now. Kofi Kingston, WWE champion. The New Day, six-time tag team champions, and right now current SmackDown live tag team champions. And then we see the OC, the original, the only club. Um,
Official, original, only club.
mhm. You got Styles holding the United States Championship. I think this is like the second or third time he's held this reign. And you got the club who have been pretty much tag team jobbers over the last couple of years. All of a sudden, Raw tag team champions again, and now their stock is back up. We're seeing a return of stables, and I like it. Um, I think when we first started doing Marking Out of Mark's Friends, one of the things that we all had a general consensus on is they need to bring back stables and bring back focus on stables. So do you like the fact that both of these stables currently, everybody in both of these factions are holding gold?
I love it. I absolutely love it, especially when it's stables that have been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like the club has been around for quite a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not on the same page, they have broken up, but the club has been around for a while. And mind you, these are the original Bullet Club members. So,
Mm-hmm.
what was the gasp about?
You said Bullet Club.
Yes, I said Bullet Club.
Oh my God.
These are the original Bullet Club members with the original leader. Not so fast. Hold up, this is the second leader. The original leader is in WWE by one Balor Club leading Finn Balor. So, and remember, he does have an open invitation there that AJ Styles did drop. So, yes. But then again, we got to shift gears. What's going to be the next faction to possibly hold the gold.
Well, you know the one that's already up next, the one that's been ripping it up already without even being on the main roster. Um,
Exactly.
so
I feel that it's time for the undisputed era to hold all the gold. Just like their prophecy said, in 2019 is the undisputed era, literally. And they'll all be undisputed champions by the end of 2019. How about let's fast forward and make it by the beginning and the middle of August?
okay. Um, so we know the undisputed era is definitely up next. In this instance, uh, I'm looking. I'm mentally reviewing the roster right now to see if there's any other potential stables that could rise up. You know, the Forgotten Sons are getting a lot of play on NXT right now. So that could be a future stable that we see, or a faction we see make some noise. Some potential factions, the Viking
Samo-
Experience. Oh, go ahead.
the Samoan dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
the bloodline has been making waves together as of late.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have Roman and the Usos finally together as tag champs plus the Universal Champion?
I wouldn't be against it. Honestly, that would be one of the most. It would be one of the most interesting runs that Roman Reigns would have as a main eventer, in his singles career. Because while Roman Reigns has been a mainstay with the women and children, you know, he's been a huge mainstream success since becoming a single star. Every time he's in a title feud, all of his title feuds are lackluster. All of his title runs are lackluster because as he's been champion, he lacks like the major feud as champion. We've seen him have some great feuds with Drew McIntyre. We've seen him have some great feuds with Samoa Joe, but he wasn't Universal Champion or WWE Champion during those feuds. Um, so the character difference would be huge with the bloodline rising up in the main roster. So I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Um, how
I
about it?
think that the Usos will provide Roman the edge that Roman needs, especially as far as talking goes, because we all know that Jimmy and Jay are great on the mic.
And Roman,
Roman, not so much at times.
at times he's not somebody. He's much improved. I'll give him his credit. He's much improved on the mic. Like leaps
But
and bounds.
giving him his cousins would definitely be something that I think that the men would actually enjoy as well as the women and children already do, especially this woman. Anyway, okay, go ahead. Let's continue.
How about a stable of an intergender stable a little bit here? So how about the Viking Experience and Sarah Logan? Um, Ever since the breakup of the Riot Squad, you've been seeing Sarah Logan rocking the same gear and style as the Viking Experience. But to my knowledge, we've yet to see them all come out together on the main roster. So that's another potential stable that we could see. How about we have a women's champion and tag team champions?
Yeah, but the only question is what three women could get along enough to form a stable besides Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it would be innovative to have a stable, an intergender stable, where possibly you could have a woman be the leader. So I would love to see the Viking Experience become a stable, and Sarah Logan kind of be the main face, the mainstay of that group. It would be something that we haven't seen before, and it would boost. I think that would actually boost the women's division. I mean, what stable could stop, Sarah Logan and two big Vikings behind her?
Possibly a stable that loves their pimp cups and loves their
Happiness.
loves the smoke because you know that if they do bring Bianca to the main roster and they pair her with the Street Profits, they gonna get all the smoke.
All of it. I would love to see that feud. I would love to see Sarah Logan and the Viking Experience versus Bianca Belair and the Street Profits. That would be a great mixed stable match, so to speak. So I would like to see that. It's a lot of possibilities that we can run with. I think the advantage of having a stable, but
Usos. Or of course just Naomi and the Usos, for
yeah,
that matter, versus Bianca and the Street Profits. Oh my God, that match would be great. That
Naomi
feud, incredible.
Naomi joining the Usos would only work in my opinion. Even though they're married in real life, it would only work if Naomi dropped the glow and went heel. Like
The
she's got to be.
glow, the glow has fizzled. I love Naomi so much, but the glow has fizzled. She needs to go back to Team Bad Glow.
Mhm. Or just a new gimmick as a whole. You know, even if she doesn't have to be team bad, she can still be a badass heel, so to speak.
That's what I'm saying. She needs to join the bad. She needs to join the hill of things
Mhm.
because the glow is done, and that's the main thing that I've always wanted from Naomi. You could only do so much with that, and now it's starting to become a losing streak. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the glow was a great gimmick. Um, it's just that I feel like they didn't do a whole lot with it. She was really over as a face when that gimmick first started, but I think they dropped the ball, especially with her SmackDown Women's Title run. Um, I didn't think that she got a proper run, and it was over in the blink of the eye. She lost the title to Natalia, and went straight to being a jobber after that whole ordeal. She had a feud with the likes of people like Lana. She had to put over Mandy Rose. You saw her take a loss in this whole fatal four-way match where Natalia won, and now it's Natalia versus the man. So it's just like I feel like they dropped the ball a whole lot with Naomi. And I think that I hate to blame WWE for killing, characters, so to speak, a lot. I'm one of the people who usually defends WWE in a lot of situations, but I think that they actually killed the Glow character, or the Glow gimmick. Um,
Yeah. Either
I
way.
yeah. Well, so with all of these potential stables, and we can sit here and we can make potential stables all night. Pretty much I do that on WWE 2K the majority of the time anyway. Um, what's the what do you other than the TV time? What's the advantage of being part of a stable? I always thought that stables made everybody involved look more serious when they were part of a stable. It made people take them more seriously when you're part of a
Until
group.
you started with the New Day.
I'm sorry.
Until you had the New Day.
Yeah.
In,
Yeah.
in the beginning, we thought that we were going to get like a nation of domination. Now we've got a pancake throwing, twerking, hip hopping, jumping around, a trombone playing group.
But they joke around, but I think people still take the New Day serious. So the New Day joke around, but then when the bell rings, they go to your ass. So it's like it's I think it was we expected a more serious gimmick with them in the beginning, but I think that I think now more than ever, you take all three of them more serious as competitors in the ring now than you did before they formed, so to speak.
Yeah,
Uh,
I can agree with that. I agree with that.
um, which is a conversation for another day. But I'll even go as far as to say that You know, and I've said this on multiple occasions at different pay-per-view parties that I've had. I think that Xavier Woods is probably the most underrated star on the main roster, and he has the biggest upside to be a potential star in the singles division. Um, but because he's in the New Day, a lot of people don't see it. But he's got the look, he's got the talk ability, he's got the wrestling ability. He can high fly, he can wrestle the power game. Um, he's proven that he can do other things outside of the ring and make himself notable, especially with the whole up, down, down thing. And he smashed Paige. I mean, what else? What else? What else does he need to do for anybody to realize how great he is?
Of course, you had to bring that up.
I mean, that was the best accomplishment that he's had in his singles career. Um, yeah, so I think the stables make people more taken more seriously. So I always like that aspect. I think that D-Generation X being taken seriously as competitors is what made Billy Gunn a great or a better single star. I think that the NWO made us look at people like Buff Bagwell. The NWO is what skyrocketed Scott Steiner as a singles competitor. So I mean, stables are a good breeding ground to build talent around. Hell, the Shield when they came into the main roster, that skyrocketed all of them to where they didn't even have to be mid carders once the Shield was over with. Like they all jumped straight into the main event picture. So that's why I think that they need to work on stables and factions. There needs to be more of that in WWE.
I'm still behind that.
Okay. What do you like about there being factions?
I like the fact that number one, it's not you don't always get the same variety in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, when you just have a tag team, it's just you and one other guy, and y'all have the opportunity to show off your stuff. When there's three people, you never know what combination that you're going to get,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a good faction like with the New Day when they were have been using the Freebird rules. And then you take it back down to NXT, the Undisputed Era. Since there's four of them, you don't never know what pair you're going to get if you're in a tag match. You don't know which three because I've seen them have matches where Kyle O'Reilly has sat out and it was Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong. And then I've seen it sometimes where it's just Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Then I've seen it as Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. And I've seen it as Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. I mean, you can interchange people. You never know what to prepare for. It just makes it that much more fun when you
Mm-hmm.
don't know exactly what's going to happen or which two are going to work together.
Facts. And just to take it a step further, like you said with the Undisputed Era, the more people that you add, we haven't had a huge stable in WWE in quite a while. Like on the main roster, you get up to three, and that's it. You know, and
Texas is the largest stable.
yeah, that was the biggest stable that we've probably seen in the last probably 15 years or so in WWE was probably the Nexus. Before that, you probably would have to go all the way back to DX um, before them. But we need to see a major stable um, come out and have more than a few guys. Like look at even in AEW, um, what's it the Dark World or the Dark Lord something like that, the Dark Order. It's multiple of them, and it makes it interesting because you don't know, like you said, who's going to come next and who's going to. It gives you a chance to develop a rapport with different people, and it gives the fans the chance to decide who's going to be the guy that they're going to be wanting to look forward to most going forward.
One of the best and one of the worst things when it came to a faction was done by TNA. I think that they did one of the best when they had Fortune, and then they did one that was mediocre, Main Event Mafia, And then it did one that was like, okay, enough already. Aces
Aces
and
and
eights.
eights. I knew that one was coming. I was like, yo, if you say terrible, it's got to be aces and eights. That was pure garbage. That was
I mean,
trash.
like I said, they started off good. They had Fortune, which was AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and Ric Flair leading the pack. Then you had the main event Mafia, which every top guy was pretty much there in the damn group, which was like, okay, so if you got all these top guys together, then who the hell are they fighting besides each other if they're all the top guys?
Mm-hmm.
Then you trickle down to the never ending cycle of aces and eights.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
probably
And
what made me stop
the beginning of
watching
the
Impact.
that was the beginning of the end for me too.
Yeah, that was like at that point in time, it was like, yeah, I'm kind of
When
over Impact now.
you have 20 something people in the daggone group every week, you had like 5 new people showing up being in the group. So next thing you know, the whole damn roster is one damn faction. Like, what the hell? What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, so that yeah, Aces and Eights was pretty trash. Um,
So learn
unpopular.
from you.
Yeah, you learn from those. Unpopular opinion. I think that the Odysseys were terrible back in the day. They were huge fan favorites, but I hated the Odysseys. I hated the Misfits, or not the Misfits. What were they? The Jobbers with Hardcore Holly and Al Snow and all them. Hated
Job
it.
Squad,
Yeah, the Job Squad hated it. It got them
Spirit
over.
Squad, Spirit Squad.
Yeah, the Spirit Squad trash. Brought us Dolph Ziggler, you know, but trash. Their finisher was hot though. I like that finisher. I don't think that I've that. I think they were the first time that I'd ever seen a stable have a like all 5 members of the stable participate in their finisher. Like that was dope. I thought that was a dope concept. But other than that, them as a whole character was garbage.
And remember, Kenny Dykstra was supposed to be the one, not Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that leg drop was pretty. Um, and I think at the time he was smashing Mickey
Mickey James
James. So yeah,
until John got away with this
John,
golden shovel.
John Cena killed Kenny Dykstra. I mean, if your last name is Dykstra, you
Bastard.
pretty much was kidding. You already killed yourself before anybody else could kill you. Um, so yeah, I mean,
Oh my God. John just killed Kenny. You bastard.
but that leg drop was a thing. It was a thing of beauty. I don't think I've seen anybody do. Well, no, let me take that back. I think Fandango used it after Kenny Dykstra did it. I think Fandango did it. Um,
Of
but
course, Velveteen Dream does a beautiful leg drop.
um, but I think Fandango did the one similar to Kenny Dykstra, like the legs go back and then go forward in midair when he jumps off the top rope.
Yeah.
So I think Fandango kind of took that one, which Dykstra wasn't using it anyway. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say on uh, stables that I thought were pretty garbage going on. That Aces and Eights took the cake though. I don't think I can bring up anybody that was worse than that one. That was garbage. Who was supposed to be the leader of that one? Wasn't it like Anderson? Was it Kenny Anderson?
No. Gallows was in it, but the leader of that was one and only Bully Ray.
Bully Ray. Okay, yeah. It helped his career.
Yeah.
That's it. It helped him be taken more seriously as a main event guy.
Yep.
So I guess in the sense it goes back to what I said before. Like one thing about stables is they help people take certain guys more seriously. I guess looking at the bright side of the picture of Aces and Eights in that situation. Anyway, Um, unless you have any other comments on stables, that'll go ahead and wrap that one up. We can actually move right along into our final thought for the night. Because
Yeah.
we still got plenty of SummerSlam and Takeover to talk about over the next couple of weeks. Of course, we're 10 days out, so we got the next week is going to be our prediction show. The week of that after that is going to be our recap, and that is going to be our season finale. Um, God, it's been 2 years already. Like, man, it almost makes me want to tear up thinking about it. Um, wow. But anyway, jumping right into our final thought. Um, and this one was one, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on this one, just because the professor himself reached out. The Professor John Gotti wanted us to spend a little bit of time on Defiant Wrestling. Um, so, Defiant Wrestling was started by What Culture. We know What Culture is a huge wrestling podcast out there, and they're very popular YouTube channel. We've seen them have interactions with people like New Japan stars Tama Tonga. We've seen them, have interactions with WWE stars on Twitter. We've even seen them be in the talks with guys in AEW. But their promotion, Defiant Wrestling, will be closing its doors after 3 years. Um, it is going to be shut down. Professor John Gotti says that this is going to be due to the WWE taking a lot of the talent, or as he would say, scraping a lot of the talent out of the UK independent scene for NXT UK. I personally, I don't know a whole lot about What Culture Pro Wrestling or Defiant Wrestling. For those who kept up with it, definitely been a good run for you guys. But for me, I mean, best of luck to all those guys who are still in the company. Hopefully, you guys will get major contracts and be part of, major shows like AEW or New Japan Pro Wrestling or Ring of Honor or WWE. So for that last show, I believe that's going to be coming up this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, Professor John Gotti later on. But shouts out to Defiant Wrestling out there. And that'll be my final thought.
Absolutely. I was just actually I was just up here reading a little bit about it myself. I didn't really watch Defiant Wrestling or know much about the promotion, but you always hate to hear when something doesn't go quite right.
Hmm.
So I wish the best of luck to the performers there, and hopefully a lot of them will a lot of them will get contracts elsewhere. And let's just leave it there. Wish you the best of luck. Now, my final thought is actually going to be back to a topic that we discussed earlier, and which was the 24/7 championship. I know a lot of people have really been shitting on it, and I just have to say that I think it's been one of the funniest thing. We had the legends scrambling around for it on the Raw reunion show. You got to see your first ever women's 24/7 champion. You got to see some senior citizens become 24/7 champion. You got to see a twirl become 24/7 champion. You got to see it almost being tossed in the trash, and then you got to see it bought. That championship is perfect for occasions like that, in which that gives people a little something to remember. And in that one night alone, we had, was it 13 or 15 different title changes?
I want to say 15.
15 different title changes in one night. You will not get that with any other championship. And the other thing I like about the 24/7 championship is how now that the door has been busted or kicked open by Kelly Kelly, surprisingly, and becoming the first women champion, we have the first pregnant champion. I think that this is cool. I love to see where they're going to go with this. But it's been a nice little start of a Twitter war, um, won by Mr. Drake Maverick himself. And he said, and I quote, "I have no shame, no remorse, no fear. I will pin a pregnant woman to become 24/7 champion again. Yes, I have tweeted that at WWE hashtag Maverick 24/7, with all of a sudden getting a response by the lovely Renee Michelle herself. "Oh, so you will get on top of a pregnant woman for 3 seconds, but not your wife."
Mic drop. Pipe bomb.
Boom. Love it. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to see what happens next.
I mean,
And I'm just going to leave it at that because that is my final thought.
if Drake won't, you know what? No, I'm not gonna.
Then maybe he will.
That's the end of the final thought. I didn't say that. That was Lady Great One who said that.
I said he. I didn't say you. I
Oh,
said
I was
maybe
just-
he will. Hey, I was just quoting Drake there. Not Maverick, but the other Drake, the rapper, the Canadian born. He might end up being at SummerSlam. We don't know.
Shit.
In the city of Toronto.
Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. Well, anyway, it's been a great show. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a great 2 seasons going on. Once again, we got 2 more episodes left in the tank. So thank you guys for tuning in. Catch us on YouTube, youtube.com/marking out amongst friends, facebook.com/marking out amongst friends. Search us on iTunes. Search for us on the Google Podcast app. Search for us on player.fm. All right, but before we let go of tonight's episode, there's one more thing to do. You know what we got to do to start and end every episode? We got to do what, Lady Great One?
We got to hit our damn music.
If it's going to play here.
Maybe he didn't hear me. I said, maybe it's time to hit our damn music.
He looks like
There we
a fan.
Mark it out.
He was marking out, man.
450 off the top with the top. Leader of the new school, ain't no way to stop us. Mark it out, screaming loud, tell me who you with. Competition is none, cause we lunatics. Walk with me down these roads if you're all in. I love the feeling, baby, time to go to work again. Come together like a fist and we do it proud. Light it up and burn it down, cause we marking out.